4 brutal years exiled on a North Sea oil rig, and my aunt sneered, "Your father expired 18 months ago." I drove up the gravel path to my childhood ranch with my chest tight and hands shaking. 4 years, 1,460 days of freezing ocean spray. The main gate was different, wrought iron instead of rusted steel. A shiny brass plaque read, "Sabine's Retreat." I parked my beat-up rental like I hadn't been banished. Aunt Sabine stepped out onto the porch. Her face was lifted. Her cashmere sweater screamed new money. She stared at me like I was a rabid stray dog wandering onto her pristine lawn. "You're back," she spat. "Where is he?" My jaw clenched. "Your father's ashes were scattered a year and a half ago." The words hit me like a physical blow. The air rushed out of my lungs. "We are selling this estate on Thursday," she added, checking her diamond watch. "You are trespassing. Leave before I call the sheriff." My tongue felt like sandpaper. Why was I never notified? Sabine's eyes glinted with malicious glee. "You were hiding in the Atlantic, Nicholas. What did you expect? A carrier pigeon?" She turned on her heel and walked inside. The heavy oak door shut with a definitive thud. The deadbolt engaged. I stood freezing on the porch. 18 months. He had been gone for a year and a half, and I was discarded like garbage. I sat in my rental car staring at my phone trying to process the void. That's when my old college email account pinged. An automated scheduled message. Sender. Werner Baum. Subject. If I'm gone. The timestamp was set to release on my 30th birthday if it wasn't manually delayed. My blood ran cold. The email read, "Nicholas, go to the First National Bank on 4th Street, box 812. The pin is your mother's birthday." First National was an imposing brick building. I accessed box 812 with trembling fingers. Inside sat a thick leather-bound ledger and a digital voice recorder. I put on my headphones and pressed play. My father's raspy, breathless voice filled my ears. "Nicholas," he coughed. "If this triggered, my heart finally gave out, and I need you to know the truth about the warehouse fire. You didn't leave that space heater on. It wasn't your negligence that burned down the family business and forced you into a $2.5 million settlement debt." My stomach twisted violently. "I hired a private investigator last spring," his voice crackled. "It was Sabine. Sabine and her husband, Tobias. They needed the insurance payout to cover their gambling debts in Vegas. They set the blaze and they planted the melted heater near your desk. They forged the maintenance logs." I couldn't move. My father's voice cracked further. "I was too weak to fight them in court, and they threatened to pin a federal manslaughter charge on you if I spoke up. I spent my last months tracking the money. The ledger in this box proves they wired the $2.5 million into offshore accounts in the Caymans. Nicholas, they stole your reputation, your home, and your father. Don't let them keep the ranch." I took the ledger and recorder straight to a federal prosecutor named Stefan Conrad. He took one look at the wire transfers and told me to wait. But I wasn't going to just sit around and let her win. Sabine's massive estate auction was scheduled for 10 a.m. on Thursday. She was attempting to liquidate the 500-acre property to a resort developer for $14 million and vanish. On Thursday morning, I walked into the crowded auction tent pitched on the front lawn. 50 wealthy bidders and developers were sipping champagne. Sabine was beaming at the crowd. I marched past security, grabbed the auctioneer's microphone, and jammed my phone into the old cable. "Before we open the bidding at $14 million, let's hear a quick word from the late owner," I shouted. I hit play. My father's voice boomed over the massive concert speakers, detailing the arson, the framing, and the Cayman accounts. Gasps echoed through the tent. Developers dropped their paddles. Champagne glasses shattered on the grass. Sabine lunged at me, her face pale and twisted with sheer panic, her perfectly manicured hands clawing for the cables. "Turn that off! He's a delusional criminal!" she shrieked. "You ruined my life!" I held my ground, staring her dead in the eyes. "You let me slave away in the ocean to pay off your crimes," I said, my voice projecting steady over the mic. "You stood by his hospital bed and watched him die, knowing you were the reason his only son wasn't there." Sirens began wailing in the distance, growing louder as the federal agent Stefan promised finally breached the wrought iron gates. The auction was over.